First, we're going to talk about generic runner cards. Basically, the scope of this discussion is pretty much only encompassing the base set. Actually, at time of this recording, the first expansion just came out. What's that called?
What Lies Ahead?
What Lies Ahead just came out. We haven't really had a chance to play with that, so we're not going to talk about those, but we will in another video. So, some of the cards that I picked out, I pretty much picked out all these cards. So if there's a card missing, you can blame me, but we're just going to talk about these cards. So
first clump here, we've got Crypsis, Infiltration, Sure Gamble, and Armitage Code Busting.
Sure Gamble and Infiltration I put in almost every runner deck I make, at least one or two.
I personally put in 3 copies of Infiltration definitely into every deck. I might cut back on the Sure Gamble, but depends on the deck I'm building.
Infiltration does have the expose effect, which is only currently done by one other card.
Yeah, it's done by the criminal card.
Lemur Codecracker is a card I really like that most online discussions don't really like, but
yeah.
I like to be able to see traps before I'm coming, or at least confirm my suspicions. As Nom mentioned earlier, he's a much safer player than me. He also knows I like to trick him.
I run the
No,
Infiltrations
I don't.
just so I can know what's there.
Great card.
Sure Gamble. Do you have any comments about Sure Gamble? I would keep a starting hand with a Sure Gamble if I had no other money. That could be my money card, because to start off, that's very good.
Good money card. As much as I said earlier with Corporation mulling, you don't want to just focus on the money cards. Whoever wins the economy a lot of times in these games will win the game. It's a beginner's mistake to go, oh, look at the big fancy stuff and not worry about their money. All 3 of these cards, Infiltration, with the expose effect, you can break through bluffing. But it also can get you money. I mean, it's not great, but it's good.
I've used it. I've used it just to get the 2 credits, and it's fine, because if you need the money instead of the exposed, it's perfectly acceptable.
Sometimes you know you're 1 credit short from being able to complete a run that's either going to prevent the corporation from winning or win on the spot. And
both Armitage Code Busting and Sure Gamble are just solid cards. They're going to increase your economy faster than 1 action, 1 money. And considering they're neutral cards, you can put them in any deck. I put them in almost every deck, unless I have a lot of other money cards going. But if you're not sure how to finish off your deck, like say you're trying to round it down, you're at 48 cards, you're trying to get down to 45, you're going to have 3 of this card or 3 of this card. If one's a money card and the other isn't, safe bet, go with the money card, then move on to playing with it a bit. If you find yourself swimming in money afterwards, which, by the way, very rarely happens. Is anyone ever swimming in money in this game and upset about it?
I have not been swimming in money as the runner virtually ever.
I've swum in money as the runner. I was winning that game. Anytime you're swimming in money, chances are you are winning.
So.
If you're corporation and you're swimming in money, the game is over. If you look over and the corporation has 40 money sitting in front of him.
If someone asks how much money the corporation has and you either don't know off the top of your head or you have to start counting.
It's bad. Yeah, if you can't just glance and just see how much money they have, you're probably in trouble.
What's the most money you've had in a game? Corporation or runner?
I think I've had like 50 or 60 something.
Oh, I was 49. 49's my highest.
To be fair, I think I was playing against a newer. I think I might have been playing against you, or was I playing against you?
Yes, viewer, he was playing against you!
I was playing against you! Crypsis.
Crypsis is a versatile breaker, but it is not a particularly cheap breaker. Crypsis has less utility in a criminal deck because criminal decks are able to search for whatever breaker they need at a given point in time.
It's called Special Orders.
Special Order.
Special Order, yes.
Yeah. Special Order accomplishes a lot of what Crypsis does, which is just being a versatile card that can answer whatever it is you're currently dealing with.
Now, the one thing I do like about Crypsis is that it's available in all factions, and it is versatile, but the one annoying thing is that you have to keep on placing a virus counter if you want to keep it. It's pretty expensive to play off the bat, because it costs 5. The one thing I do like about it is it does cost only 1 MU. It only takes up that 1 MU slot. Like some of the other versatile ones, or good ones, they'll take up 2. But that's the one thing I like about it.
The beauty of Crypsis is, there's one point where Crypsis is great. Crypsis is if you're ahead, you stay ahead card. Because if you're swimming in money and you have the corporation against the wall, you have something sitting here and you can just go, all right, well, while you're trying to figure out what you're doing, I'm just going to get more money, get more money, get more money, put some tokens on him. And then whatever they try to throw out there, you can get through, at least eventually. The problem with Crypsis is a virus, so it's really good in an Anarch deck, because Anarchs like viruses. The other problem I have is Anarch decks usually are the least solid on money, so you're not going to have that situation where you have a bunch of money and you can just use Crypsis whenever you want. Whereas Shaper decks and criminal decks, like especially criminal decks get swimming in money.
Oh yeah.
But they also have Special Order and usually find whatever breaker they want. So they don't care about Crypsis. I've seen Crypsis win games. That being said, it's not in any of my decks.
All right. In my Anarch deck, I'll run probably two or three, depends on the situation. Then my Shaper deck, I pretty much maybe run one, and then same thing in my Criminal deck, I'll maybe run one.
The other thing is that since they are virus counters, if you're expecting to save up a whole bunch of virus counters and run through a server with 5 ice on it using nothing but Crypsis, be aware that the turn before you have enough virus counters to do that, the corporation will purge them.
So being Anarch, that's even worse because they usually get extra
They're going
bonuses.
to be purging viruses anyways, so yeah.
Whereas, you know, with the other two factions, you probably won't be getting that because what other thing will you have virus counters? They're not going to waste a turn to take one off of Crypsis. Yeah.
I just don't feel there's enough viruses to go with. I'm going to saturate my deck with every single virus and do nothing but virus play.
Moving on to Shapers, we've got good old Kate, the Personal Touch, Rabbit Hole, Akamatsu Memchip, Modded, and Diesel.
Before we do all the Shaper cards,
Okay.
I want to jump and talk about something back to our deck building concept.
Rabbit Hole
has an aspect where you can play it and then search your deck for more copies of it and play those copies. What this is really powerful for is another concept from other deck building games called deck thinning. Like we talked about with the smaller your deck is, the more chance of getting each individual card. The great part about this card is if you play it and spend the money to play all 3 copies, suddenly your deck itself is smaller, you're getting the bonus from all those cards, and you are in essence lowering your minimum deck size, and there's going to be a higher chance of getting other cards that you may specifically want. I run this in my Criminal deck as well.
It's good for deck thinning, but also for Criminal, you get the Link. Like, usually Link isn't an issue in the Shaper deck.
Well, I mean, there is the neutral Link card, which in the base set of the game, trace mechanics are relatively weak. There are some there, and obviously Scorched Earth will bring tags into play. But the trace isn't as prevalent. However, from previews, if you're watching this video, I'm guessing you haven't looked at Fantasy Flight and all the articles. They are going to be pushing trace more. As they push trace more, Rabbit Hole will become even more powerful. It's a great card. I really like Rabbit Hole. One of my go-to cards for crossing factions from Shaper, but it also plays into Shaper's strengths.
Just as one single point to mention, if you get the core set, the base set only comes with 2 Rabbit Holes. So at that point, I'm not sure if it's worth running 2. You might still want to do it, but I know it's still good. The 3 of us, we've purchased an additional core just so we have 3 copies of everything pertinent.
Which, by the way, a question that comes up on a lot of online discussion boards is, do I need a 3rd set? Many people will buy 2 copies of the base game because there are 3 copies of some cards, 2 copies of others, and 1 copy of others. The key thing is something like Rabbit Hole has 2 copies. Rabbit Hole works best if you have 3 in your deck. You can only have a maximum of 3 cards in a deck. 3 of a single card in a deck. It's definitely worth buying that second box for things like Rabbit Hole, Magnum Opus, some other cards that there's only 2 copies of. The chances are you want 3 in your deck. However, I believe all 3 of us agree that buying a 3rd copy is only for completionists, because most of the single copy cards are things you can only have 1 copy on the board, or they're overpowered, they're overcosted. The one card I would potentially buy a 3rd box for, Corporate Troubleshooter.
Oh,
Corporate
yes.
Troubleshooter, I wish I could have 3 in every corporation deck because it's that good. However, I'm not going to spend $40 for that 3rd box. If you're serious about playing with your deck building options in this game, recommend getting 2 core sets. If you only have the 1, getting that second one, it is going to help you. It's not a huge thing. You can have a lot of fun with 1 box, but that second box is going to help. The 3rd box, don't worry about it.
I really don't think the 3rd box is really necessary in any
isn't.
sort of real... Because especially as new data packs come out, that's what they're calling the expansions, the data packs. Those cards are pretty much going to take up slots anyway, so it's cards that you wouldn't need to have replaced anyway once those come out. I want to talk about the Akamatsu Memchip. This is just like a quick little cursory thing. I will run this in my other decks, in my Anarch and in my Criminal decks.
I don't run in my Criminal.
You don't run any Criminal? Okay.
Well, the thing with Criminal, again, we've talked about Special Order already. Special Order lets me find the things I'm looking for. When I have Criminal, I want Code Gate Breaker, I want a Barrier Breaker, I want a Sentry Breaker, and I want Sneak Door Beta. That's 5 memory. If I get out Desperado, I have 5 memory. I don't want any extra memory. Shaper, I'll run it just because Magnum Opus is 2, and you want more flexibility because I like battering ram, personally.
Yeah.
And Anarch, you want as much memory as possible, so I always run 3 of these in Anarch. But Criminal, I don't touch this for Criminal.
Okay,
That's my approach.
I also have Magnum Opus in my Criminal deck.
Really?
Yes. I only run 1 or 2 of these, but...
I have never run across a Criminal deck that had trouble with money.
Here's the thing. I found one situation. I only have 1 Magnum Opus in my Criminal deck, but the game went really long, and I basically ran out of cards, and I wasn't getting any more money. It was more difficult to get at that point. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to put the 1 in there, because if it gets to end game, then I can have this option for continuous gaining money without having to expend money. So that was my, but you know, as I said, this was me being the safe player. Here's the thing, if the game has gone on that long where the criminal doesn't have that many cards anyway, then, you know, you might be in trouble because the corp has had that long to kind of win.
Well, we've already been talking about it, so we might as well talk about it now. This is Magnum Opus. It costs 5. It's 2 memory. It doesn't do any breaking. It's a program. However, it is the most powerful money card in the game. Anyone? No debate on that one?
It's very powerful. I don't know the most powerful, but I would say, yeah. It's
the most consistent. Because
definitely most consistent.
The thing with it is we mentioned Sure Gamble before. It's a one-time use, get some money. Armitage code busting takes some time, but it runs out of money. Magnum Opus is use a click, gain 2 money. Basically doubles your money output from the basic click, get a money. The great part about Magnum Opus is you just use it over and over again. If you want to build up your economy, one turn of going, like as a runner, 4 clicks for 4 money is not that great. 4 clicks for 8 money is pretty awesome.
Outstanding.
Magnum Opus is really powerful. I don't run in Criminal just because Criminal has so many money tricks. Anarch
needs more money.
You need so many money.
Oh my
you need
gosh,
to have
it needs
3
money.
of those in money. And they need memory and everything, because if you don't draw into, well, we'll talk about that card later, but it's Jin.
But but this is awesome. Magnum Opus is a very powerful card. However, it is 2 memory. It takes up a lot of space. It can be... There are some people that say, you know, Magnum Opus is way overrated. That's not me. I think Magnum Opus is the most powerful money card in the game. Closely followed by another card that a lot of people don't like, which is Melange Mining Corp. But that's
we'll talk about that later.
Where do you file StimHack?
StimHack is a trick. I don't consider StimHack a money card. I consider StimHack an arrow that I load into a bow and shoot at the corporation heart.
It's like a one-time, hey, if I don't win the game, I'm going to be in trouble.
The thing is, though, it doesn't build your economy. It builds a run. I think StimHack is powerful, but when I'm building a deck, I don't consider it a money card.
Fair enough.
Gotcha.
Like if I'm counting money cards, when I'm building a deck as a runner, if I have less than 12 money cards, I'm like, I'm gonna have to rethink this. If I ran 3 of everything, there's 15 cards. 4 out of 15 for money, I think, is fair for me. Obviously, you can play around with deck ideas once you're building more and playing with it. Another thing with deck building, one of the beauties of Netrunner is things are kind of set up for you. You're working within the faction you're working with, and you have some flex space, but with 15 influence points, the most out of faction cards you're going to have are 15. Chances are there's more powerful things like Magnum Opus, which take up 2 each. So if I have 3 copies of Magnum Opus, that's 6 of my 15 influence. Great part about Netrunner is, I know a lot of people don't like games like Magic or Game of Thrones or a lot of various different games because it's tough to break into that barrier of, oh, I got to build a deck and figure out everything I need. Netrunner's kind of built in for you. First of all, the starter decks are solid. You can work from the starter decks and go, I don't like this card, I want that card from the other faction, and build it in. It's very forgiving when it comes to building a deck.
Yeah, it's very easy, especially right now. The card pool is very small. Your options aren't like super crazy, so you can make like little quick decisions, even on the fly right before you play with somebody. Just start with a base set and just switch out like 2 or 3 cards or 5 cards, and it's pretty easy to just put the deck together right now. Once a lot more data packs come out, then it might be a little bit more daunting. But if you're watching this, hopefully you're starting and you've already got the base set, so you're familiar with some of those cards.
As you play, you'll figure out which cards you're not a huge fan of that you want to cut. And once you've figured out, oh, I want to get rid of these 3 or 5 or 6 cards, you probably know what you're lacking. It's not terribly difficult. If you want more ice, you've only got a couple choices. If you want more, or you've decided you want a better barrier breaker, there's not a lot of...
Get that breaker, get Corroder.
Yeah.
Corroder is good.
Corroder is really good.
We'll get to it. I put it in every deck.
I also put it in every deck.
Corroder is every deck.
All right,
Diesel. All right, I'll sum up Diesel in one way. Most people, we all play Magic. The most powerful card in Magic's history is Black Lotus. The second most powerful card is called Ancestral Recall. It does this, but would cost a money. Good. Diesel is good.
But in this game, it's free.
It's free!
Well, it's just the one action that you have.
Ancestral Recall was 1 mana, draw 3 cards. This is 0 money, draw 3 cards, and it is banned in almost all types of play. It's
Magic.
Most commonly considered the second most powerful card in the game. You guys have played much more than me. Am I wrong on that?
I mean, I don't want to say it's the second most powerful, but it's definitely in the top.
Oh,
I would say top 3.
I would say it's in the top 9. Sorry, that's a joke.
That was so funny.
Yeah,
Anyway.
sorry.
So magic people, you get a kick out of that. Everybody else, we're sorry. No, whatever. So Diesel, in Shaper I run 3. I might throw in one of these for the other 2, depending on how much I want to spend. It does cost 2 influence when you put one of these in. But it's so good.
It's especially good in this game because the key thing is, if you haven't played a lot of constructed deck games, anything that draws you more cards and it gives you more options, it gives you more resources, it gives you more flexibility. In Netrunner, even more so because as a runner, it gives you more life. So it's a health potion, and it's an intelligence potion, and it's a resource. It's really good.
It's versatile because it gives you the cards for the options. The cards can also be used to absorb damage.
If you're playing a Shaper deck and you don't have Diesel in there, you're doing it wrong.
Whoa. Somebody's going to take that challenge and be like, I'm going to make a Shaper deck with no Diesel. It's going to be good.
And I'll beat them with my corporation decks.
All right.
And you know what? It would be better with Diesels in it.
Yeah, we'll take that deck, we'll remove 3 cards, put Diesel in, and it'll instantly be better.
Let's talk about Modded. So Modded is a card that when you play, it doesn't cost anything, but as part of the card text, it lets you install either a program or hardware for 3 cost less.
I do consider Modded a money card.
I don't consider Modded a money card, but I consider it a... Alright, I consider it a resource, advantage card.
Here's the thing. The install is built into the card. So I play this card and I install a thing. I'm not using an action. I'm playing it for 3 money less. Mm-hmm. So it's like, basically this card is gain 3 money for no actions.
It's Beanstalk royalties for runners.
Alright, gotcha.
Gain 3 royalties without an action. It's gain 3 money for no action. Now, it uses up 2 cards instead of 1 when you play it, but you should have Diesel there, so all of a sudden, this works great.
Yes. The problem is if you then put Modded in other decks, which sometimes I do. I run Modded in my criminal decks. So I guess I'm just running crazy cards that he's not running.
No, we build differently.
Yeah, we all have different deck strategies, so...
I mean, some of us do it right, and some of us do it wrong.
Hey! I've beaten you a couple times.
I know.
Alright. One of those times I got lucky, but anyway. To be fair, Modded, I like Modded.
No, Modded is great. Modded is a solid money card.
Yeah, solid card. Do you use Modded in your non-shapers?
You just went out of your way to correct solid money card with solid card. I see what you did there.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Oh, one feature of the breakers in Shaper. So here's a couple. This is Gordian Blade and Battering Ram. One of the features of these breakers is that when you pump up their power, basically when you increase their strength, using their ability, it usually lasts until the end of the run for Shaper Icebreakers. Whereas all the other factions, it usually ends right after that ice. So.
Playing against Shapers, it is not a good idea to stack a whole bunch of code gates on top of one server. You want to try and mix it up so that they can't pump up one breaker and just smash through every single one of your defenses in one go.
In most of the other ones, I might not think about stacking as much, but if I'm playing against a Shaper, I'll definitely want to diversify the type. Now, the one caveat being, Shaper can change the type with that one card. Was it Tinkering or something?
Yeah. Battering Ram is good. With the breakers, I'll say it this way. You guys can agree or disagree, and we'll discuss. Pipeline, which we don't even have right here, stinks. Battering Ram is good, but not great. Gordian Blade for code gates is awesome. This is another one. I play it in my criminal, and depending on the Anarch build I'm doing, I may play it as well.
So you'll notice Gordian Blade has 3 influence, and rightfully so. Personal touch. What do you run it in, what do you don't? Obviously in Shaper you're probably going to run at least 1, 2 copies. One point that you had, running it with just the base set environment in criminal, just for Ninja.
Okay, personal touch. One thing real quick. Gordian Blade is the best code gate breaker. It's in Shaper. Any disagreement?
No.
The best sentry breaker is Ninja. It is criminal. No?
Well, I mean, I think that's a little bit more debatable, but it just depends on
better than Pipeline.
It's better than Pipeline.
And I'm not going to put Mimic in a non-Anarch.
I'm not going to put Mimic, yeah. Now, here's the thing. The only thing, this would be difficult to run in an Anarch deck anyway.
I've run an Anarch deck.
Okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's weird.
It's not amazing. It's just...
And then Corroder is Anarch. It's the best barrier breaker. I mean, just general, I need breakers. This is the best 3
These are probably what you want to run.
Okay.
You could run.
Now, Personal Touch has a really good power with Ninja for 1 card. But in my opinion, we're going to jump over to Corporation real quick. This is called Archer. It is, in my opinion, the scariest card in the game. It is an ice that has 6 strength. It has 4 subroutines. Corp gains 2 money. Trash 1 program. Trash 1 program and end the run.
It only costs 4 to flip over, but as an additional cost, you have to trash one of your already scored agendas.
But if you're running Wayland, which is this is in, you have cheap agendas you can toss to this, and it's worth doing that. Or if you're playing other factions, there are sometimes free ways to get around that.
Priority requisition.
Priority requisition in anyone.
Yes.
Now, Ninja has, for 3 money, you +5 strength. It starts at 0, +5 strength. Any sentry in the base game, except Archer, you can pump this to be able to break for 3 money. If you're going against Archer, you have to pump it twice. So that's 6 money just to get the strength, and then you need to spend 1 money per subroutine. Right. So Ninja's the best sentry breaker, and against this it takes 10. That is an Owwie, Owwie, Owwie.
Which is not as good as any of the other breakers in this situation. But
it can be worth it, in my opinion, to put a personal touch onto Ninja just for Archer. Because suddenly, instead of 10 money, it's 7 money. And that's if you break all the subroutines. You may break less the subroutines.
Yeah, and you don't have to spend all that money.
Like if you're doing that final, I need that final agenda, and he has behind Archer. You don't mind him trashing programs if you get through everything. You can just use it to end the run. Suddenly it's 4 money to end the run versus Archer, which is ridiculously good.
Yes.
Whereas it's if you do just the end of the run, it's 7 money.
Yep.
7 money, 4 money. That's worth 1 card and 2 money for me.
Yes.
Which is... Personal Touch isn't the greatest card in the game. It's flexible. It can apply to a lot of situations. But Personal Touch Punch Ninja against Archer, I know this because I did it against Nom, works really well.
That's the reason why I discovered this. He used it on me, and I'm like, holy crap! And he just busted.
But that's a really specific corner case situation as more cards come into the game. Archer may not be the biggest thing to be scared of. Archer is really scary. It's really good. If they get it up in front of something, that fort becomes really hard to get through. You're suddenly spending all of your turns going money, 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 money. Which is why I run Archer in... Well, I run Archer in any Wayland deck I've built. And my favorite Hospiroid deck, I run 3 Archers. So
Archer's really good. You might even want to consider running it in other ones if you can spare the agendas.
It's so good.
It's
if you have cheap agendas to toss to it, or
it's
you're
ridiculous.
Playing, or if you're playing Priority Requisition, but if you're playing Accelerated Beta Test on top of it, Archer is real. I actually hit an Accelerated Beta Test and got 2 Archers.
That's ridiculous.
I won that game. Is not shocking thing for me to say after saying I got 2 for free.
If you lost that game, I would be surprised.
If I lost that game,
who are you playing against?
I don't know.
Not one of us. So Personal Touch. It might be good to also put on certain icebreakers that need like a little boost. Like if you see them having a bunch of the same type, you put it on that one type. You can put it on Crypsis. It becomes very versatile if you can keep Crypsis around. You could also put it on some of the Anarch icebreakers to increase their already low strength values, because a lot of them don't
increase their fixed strength values.
Increase their fixed strength values.
As a Personal Touch, the thing with Personal Touch is the problem with Personal Touch is it's a nice small effect. The problem is it's 2 influence. So for a small impact card, 2 influence is a lot, especially when I'm already spending influence to bring in those better breakers. So I like Personal Touch. However, that criminal deck, I just run 1 copy.
Yeah.
I just run 1 copy, and in the off chance that I'm playing against Wayland and I'll see Archer.
Right.
But I run this just for that scary card.
Yeah, yeah.
It's really good, it's really versatile, but for 2 influence, there are things that are more powerful that have more effect on your deck. I like this card, but it just doesn't make the cut a lot of the time.
Okay, I'm just going to start it rolling.
You get to Toronto in less than 10 parsecs?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, parsecs is a measurement.
Yes. I mean, you know, they're gonna know that we play Magic.
Wingardium Leviosa.
What does that do? I can't find that ability in the rulebook.
Have you seen that YouTube video?
No, I haven't.
Oh my gosh, this is a YouTube video, guys. Wingardium Leviosa. Weasley. It's Wingardium Leviosa.
You know this is gonna be in the bloopers, right?
Oh shit.
I don't even want anything to drink right now, but just, 2 ice cubes, 1 ice cube. I should clearly have it just, straight.
Neat.
Right? Yeah.
And today we are actually having a Netrunner party.
Woohoo. Yay!